Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to talk about the newest launch from Sugar Drizzle. This palette actually comes in a sleeve with the same artwork. All the ingredients are listed in the behind the palette. This palette has a shelf life for 24 months and this is cruelty free. Now, you should see the inside because this is so beautiful. It comes with a mirror too. And look at the color story. Obviously, this is not in a prestige condition just because I've swatched this palette, I've worn this palette several times now and I love using this palette. This palette has 12 beautiful shades. This palette launches on August 26th, next Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this retails for $40, and this has some beautiful mix of shimmery shades, shifty shades, beautiful matte. I love this palette. If you are into this color story, you would absolutely love it. I love the addition of that blue to this palette and that peachiness for the highlighter shade. Love it. Absolutely love it. I also do have a code with Sugar Drizzle and it's Smithy Sony. They gifted me this palette. Being super honest, but they didn't ask me to like record this video or do eye looks with this palette. This is my honest opinion about Sugar Drizzle, and you know how much I love Sugar Drizzle because I love the quality of the eyeshadow that they produce. But again, use my code Smithy Sony to save 10% off, or use anybody's code to save some money off. But yes, let's dive into the live swatches and then we dive into the 3 looks using this palette. Let's go column by column so that you see all the shades in action, how this performs. This is how the first 3 shades look. Okay, the first shade is Miss Dragon. It's a beautiful mauvy shade. The second shade is a shade that I have all over my eyelid today, and this shade is Dragon Scales. And the third shade is a shimmery hot pink shade, and that is called Dragon Fruit. Now, all of these shades are super smooth, super dimensional, I would say. This is a matte, this is a traditional shimmer, and this is definitely a duochrome or a multichrome. I don't know if you can see it or not. You can see like that green, like olivey green coming through, and that beautiful purpley mauvey shade. It's such a dimensional shimmer. I really love it. So those are the first 3 shades. Okay, let's move on to the second column. The next shade is Slay. This is the deepest shade of the palette. And then we have Fire Kiss. And then we have Puff of Smoke, which looks like nothing in the palette, but this is such a beautiful shade on the eyes. I love it. Okay, so let's swatch it. Slay. Kiss of Fire. And then Puff of Smoke. Yes, Puff of Smoke. So there you go. Those are the first 6 shades of the palette, and you can see how beautiful the arrangement of these shades are. Really pretty. The last shade that I swatched seems super light on the back of my hand, but you'll see in application on my eyes how beautiful and mauvey and taupey the shade is on the eyes. It looks absolutely beautiful, especially if you are like around my skin tone, on like a medium tan skin tone, I would say. But if you are more on the lighter side, that would be a beautiful transition shade on you. And if you are on a lighter shade, I feel like that's like a brightening shade, like a brightening lid shade for you. Okay, let's move on to the third column. We have Dragon's Den, we have Dragon's Egg, and we have Relight My Fire. All of them are like shimmer shades but different textures, as you can see. This, such an unusual shade in my collection. I loved using that shade. That's Dragon's Den. Then we have this beautiful blue purple teal shade, which is Dragon's Egg, and then a shimmery plummy shade, which is Relight My Fire. Even this shade all across the eyelid would be stunning. Like for a beautiful smoky red burgundy eye look, that'd be lovely. So those are the next 3 shades. Really beautiful. Looks like a gray to you, this shade, but such a beautiful taupey purple shade on the eyes. It's so pretty. I feel like this looks gray against that taupey shade right next to it, but really pretty shade. Now let's move on to the last column. We have Plumeria Dragon, which is the hot pink matte shade. Then we have On My Wings, which is like my favorite matte shade of this palette. And then we have Dragon's Breath, which is again a beautiful traditional shimmer shade, but it has like some kind of a shift, which I cannot even like explain. Look how pigmented that shade is. You know, I love a good mauvy shade, and that is right up my alley. And this shade is so unique. It is like pink in some angle, orange in some angle. It's really, really pretty. And that's the entire palette swatched for you guys. Really, really beautiful. If you are into these tones, you would absolutely love it. Let me show you in the outside lighting too, because you should see this, how beautiful and dimensional it is on the outside lighting. And now let's move on to the 3 looks using this palette. Okay, let's begin with the first look. I don't even know where to start. I just swatched this palette, but I'm so excited for this. So let's begin. Okay, I'm gonna first start off with this shade, Puff of Smoke, and see if it even like shows up on my skin or not. But I feel like that would be a great transitioning shade for like light skin tone, I would say. Don't worry, it was just a staining. But yeah, it does show like a transitioning shade for me, if you can see. And I'm just gonna focus that all across my crease, just so that it is like a great transitioning shade on me. It seems super light, and I thought like that would be like my skin shade, but just a little bit more on the cooler side. But this definitely performs like a transitional shade for me, and which I love. I love that I can use one more shade. Really, really pretty. Especially for these like cool tones. This is like an essential shade, I would say. Yeah, I love that. Okay, now I'm gonna dip into this shade, which is On My Wings, and see how deep that shade is. I'm gonna just take that on refer number 1. Start on the outer corners. Yeah, this is pretty much like my crease shade. So I'm gonna start off with the outer corner and then bring it along my crease, just so that I have that depth that I'm looking for, and it meshes well with that first shade that we used. And this can be like a soft romantic look when we just go in with those 2 shades, especially on my skin tone, I would say. Very soft look. Yeah, I really love that. You know, I love my mauvy tones, and this was like right up my alley. Just like that. Now to deepen it out, I'm gonna take this shade, which is Slay, and I'm just gonna take a very tiny bit on the outer corners. I don't want too much of pink, but just like a hint right there. And also on the outer corners of the lower lash line, just right there. Just melting with that On My Wings shade. Just like that. I like that. I love the way how things are blended. I'm well aware of Sugar Drizzle formula, you know. I've been using almost everything that they have made. Now let's move on to the NYX glitter glue. There's no doubt in like what quality of eyeshadows they make, because they make some of the best quality eyeshadows in the market. It's just about like which color story speaks to you. I guarantee you would not be disappointed. Let's start off with this shade, which is Dragon's Breath. And I'm gonna take it on my fingers and take it right there from the center of my eyelid to about the outer corners. And just melting it right there. If you love pinks and like maroons and mauves, you'll absolutely love it. Like, look at that. Yeah, I like that. I'm also gonna take this shade before we dip into the second shimmer, and this is Miss Dragon, and I'm gonna take that right there in the inner third of the crease, just so that I get that purple. Yeah, just right there. Okay, now I'm gonna take a flat definer brush, and I'm gonna dip into, it's a very different shade for me, this one, And this is Dragon's Den. It's a very cool tone, taupey shade. Seems very, very creamy even when I like swatched it. But let's see. See, it's super, super taupe. And I'm gonna take that and then melt it with that shade, which was Dragon's Breath. Because I want that taupiness in this look. Right there. I like the way how this turned out. This is definitely more peach, but this is the only inner corner shade that I can like find, but I don't want to apply that. I instead would just take a highlighter, and I have one highlighter just lying around here, and this is Essence Pure Nude highlighter. I'm just going to take that just because I don't want like too much of pink, especially for this look, and that would do it for us. I'm just gonna finish off my lower lash line just a tad bit. I'm gonna take this shade on my wings. Sorry, that's Miss Dragon. And I'm gonna just take that on the lower lash line too. Right there. I'm gonna finish off this eye with some liner and mascara, and I'll get right back. And that's my first eye look. I really loved how like ethereal and taupey and like very simple and everyday it is. I really wanted to go more of a purple route with this eye look, and we'll go some like bold and dramatic on this eye, but I love how airy and ethereal and ladylike, and yeah, it's just lovely. I love how simple it is. Like, I loved it. Okay, now let's move on to the second eye look. Okay, now for the second eye look, I'm gonna go with this shade, which is Plumeria Dragon, the name of the palette, which is that hot pink shade. And I'm gonna take this on refer number 16, tapping off the excess. It's super pigmented. Look how pigmented that is. Okay, I'm gonna first tap off the pigment and then start blending the edges. The day I'm filming this, the day I got the palette, I just received this palette, by the way. Natasha Denona's palette just got released, and I immediately got it because, you know, it's a neutral palette, and I was like, yeah, you can never have too many neutrals. But this, you also know that purple is like my comfort zone. So this palette was also like super, super up my alley. Like, I love purples and pinks. I feel like it just complements my eye look really well. Also gonna take the same shade on the lower lash line. Just blowing it out on the outer corner just because I'm gonna deepen it out with another shade, but I'm gonna focus more on the inner third. Really, really pretty. Okay, now for the outer corners, I'm gonna dip into this shade, which is Slay. Again, this is the deeper shade of the palette. And then deepening it out quite a bit for this look. Such a beautiful color. Like an orchid purple shade. Definitely one of my favorite mattes of the palette. Slay. It is slaying this look for sure. Also focusing this on the lower lash line. Just right there. Really like it. I'm gonna take the same crease shade brush that we used. Refer number 16 with nothing additional, just blending the edges. Just so that there's no harsh lines and just melts smoothly in the eyes. Once we have that, I'm going to take my NYX Glitter Glue. I'm going to focus that on the center of my eyelid. And then I'm going to take this shade, which is Dragon's Egg. You see like a teal shade. At my end, I see blue purple. It's a beautiful shifting shade. Taking it on refer number 28. Starting it right there. Look how pretty that is. Just like that. I'm gonna dip back into that crease shade Plumeria Dragon, just because I don't want to lose that shade at all. And focus that on the inner third of the eyelid, just right there. And then dipping back into that deeper shade Slay on the outer corner and deepening things out. Just tapping it so that it blends in with that beautiful teal shade that we have. I really love this eye look. I'm gonna take the shade, which is Fire Kiss, this one, and I'm gonna apply that on the inner corners of the eyelid. Oh, that's a beautiful shade. Mixing it with that teal shade too. When mixed with that teal shade, it takes the pinkness, which I love. Okay, I'm gonna finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. Okay, before I finish off with my look, I'm gonna take this shade, which is Dragon Fruit, and I'm actually gonna take that on my lower lash line, just right there, because I'm looking for like a sheen, but in a hot pink shade, and this definitely has that smooth shimmer running throughout it. I'm gonna melt it down with that Fire Kiss shade that we have in the inner corners. Yeah, just like that. I really love that. Okay, so now this is my second eye look. I really love how beautiful and dramatic and like so different and vibrant this palette can go to. I love the inclusion of that dragon egg shade, and this shifts like to a blue to a purple. I really love that. Can you see the shift? Really pretty, especially with those like, you know, fuchsia shades. It'll be really pretty. Now let's move on to the third eye look. Okay, let's move on to the third look. We have two more shades left. So we have this shade and then this shade left. Let's use them and create a look. Very excited. It's going to be deep and smoky because both of them are shimmers and both of them are deeper tones. Let's use it. Okay, I'm going to first start off with an eye primer. I'm going to take my Alter Ego eye primer, just prime my eyelids. We definitely need it. I just did the two looks that you saw before this. So I want to give my eyes a little prep and prime. I really love this eye primer. You can use the code SMITHYSONY on Alter Ego's website to save 10% off. And it's the same code that you can use on Sugar Drizzle's website too to get 10% off. Okay, let's move on. I am going to start off with the shade on my wings, this one, all across my crease. This is a beautiful neutral tone taupey mauve shade, which I feel like for everyday looks, it'll come in super handy and blends like a dream, which I love. I wanna record one more video after this for this week. My boys are there for soccer, so I have the whole house to myself, and yeah, this is like the golden time where I can record. So I'm not gonna miss that chance. I'm just gonna take this shade, the Puff and Smoke shade, the lightest shade of the palette, and I'm just gonna blend the edges. I feel like those two shades just go hand in hand so well. Just like that. I love it. Okay, now what should we do? I'm gonna take the shade Slay. I mean, this is the only deeper shade in the palette. I would have loved to get like a deep dark chocolatey brown shade or like an eggplant shade. Yeah, I feel like that would have just given it a different direction if you want to go like more of like a taupey route. I feel like that would have been lovely. Okay, I'm gonna take that shade Slay. This is refer number 26, and then I'm gonna take that on the extreme outer and inner corner, just like that. I just want some kind of a depth so that I have my deeper shimmers to flow into something, and then I'll just blend it with the other shade. I'm going to take this shade, which is Relight My Fire, and I'm going to take this on entire lower lash line. It's a beautiful purpley shimmery shade. It's a traditional shimmer. It's very, very reminiscent to the outer corner shade that we used, but in a traditional shimmer shade. It's not super sparkly or anything, but it gives like a very opaque shimmery look, which I love. Okay, now on the lid, I'm going to take my NYX glitter glue all across my eyelid. You don't need to apply a glitter glue. I just apply it with every eye look. I just like a tacky glue just because I feel like the shimmers just amp up like 10 times more when I'm applying this. Okay, now let's take this shade, which is Dragon Scales. This is such a beautiful dimensional shade. It shifts to beautiful shades. It's like a plummy purple shade, but it shifts to like a green, pink, really pretty. So that's with a brush. I'll apply it with a finger and I'll show you the difference. And this brush is reference number 28. Just like that. I love these smoky eyes. Really, really pretty. Okay, I'm going to take it on my finger and just apply it right there. So basically the difference would be, if you're applying it with the finger, you'll get a much more smoother application. I don't think it's like any different on appearance, but I can like feel like this is much more smoother and this is a little texture. Actually, it just looks the same. It just looks the same. Ignore that. I love it. I love how deep and smoky and sexy it looks. It's really, really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna take the same brush that we used our crease shade with. Where is my brush? And I'm gonna dip back into that shade on my wings. I can see that being like my favorite crease shade, especially because I'm so much into those mauvy tones. And I'm just gonna re-intensify everything on the crease so that there's no harsh lines with the shimmers. Swooping that on the lower lash line too. I know it's a big brush, but I just wanna swoop right there. Okay, now I'm gonna take that shade Fire Kiss, this highlighty shade, and I'm gonna take that on my inner corners. It's so pretty. You can definitely use this shade right in the center and just intensify it a little bit more. I just want a smoky eye look right now. I'm going to finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. And that's my third eye look. I finished it off with some Glamnetic lashes, and this one is in the style Venus. I love a magnetic lash because I don't want to deal with like gluing things together. And also for my blush, I use my Moon Prism blush palette and I mixed the shade Pink Moon from here, and I mixed it with the M Cosmetics cream blush in the shade Demure. That's what I have. For my lips, I mixed again. For the previous two looks, I was using M Cosmetics lip cushion, I think, in the shade Rose Nude. And for this eye look, I took the L'Oreal lipstick in the shade Cutting Edge Cork. Yeah, this one. I love how smoky and how dimensional and how sexy it looks. I really, really love a good smoky eye, which is like a burgundy purpley shade. I love it. I loved it. I feel like this is my favorite eye look. One also, I love when I can see both of my eye looks together on me and I am living and I'm feeling and I'm breathing this shade. Love it. Okay, let's recap this palette. I used everything in this palette. I used all the shades. Definitely loving everything. I did not have any issue with any pigmentation or like skipping or like blending. The shades are lovely. If you're into like purples and pinks and mauves, you will absolutely love it. You have a tealy, bluey, purpley blue shade also, which can take this look into a different direction. And this all over the eyelid can give you like a airy everyday kind of look too. What I feel missing, I feel like instead of these two shades, if one could have been deep dark eggplant shade, that would have been amazing. At least one of these shades. I feel like this could have been taken off just because we have this same shade in a matte shade here. Rest everything is, I mean, all the shades are different, okay? There's nothing that is close to each other or anything. This seems like close to each other, but this is more like maroony and this is the shade that you see like on my eyes. It's really, really pretty. But yes, love the palette, right up my alley. You know how much I love my purples and mauves, and this is right up my alley. I'll give 2 thumbs ups to this palette. This beautiful Plumeria Dragon palette. This reminds me of some Pokemon. I don't know. Maybe because I'm a mom whose kids are always into Pokemon, so I keep hearing them. But yes, I really loved all the eye looks that I create for you guys. You guys let me know in the comment section below, out of the 3 looks, which one was your favorite. But yes, if you like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.